Oh my god, he's moaning again. I love how one's praying and the other going, oh, what is this? Bro's just gonna keep moaning, I am atomic, as everyone's having a fucking choir practice. Oh, the ghost diddle hand, of course. Who would have thought that Sid from the Eminence in Shadow coming in playing his piano, moaning I am atomic, would end up with Subaru from ReZero fondling Ainz' balls with a ghost hand, but here we are. That's why I love Isekai Quartet. You never know what you're gonna get. It's the fucking bell. It's time to go home. Are you telling me the button to go home isn't a button to teleport home, but rather a button to press the bell to go home from school? Brother. Hey, you got this on video. You know what to do. Drop a like, share your support, subscribe if you're new around here in Patrons. We're going to catch my full, uncut, unblurred reactions to everything I'm watching, which also helps support the channel and videos just like the one you're watching, so consider supporting if you so wish. Now, we have reached the end of this season of Isekai Quartet, and I gotta be real. Did I expect them to go home? No. But was I expecting the sound the button makes? Also no. The thing is they easily could have ended it in a way where they press the button, credits roll, we don't know if they went home, and then it could leave it open-ended, right? Like, hey, what if, just say, they did go home, then it's an ending. If they didn't go home, you cut to next season, and it's a big gag. Instead, they said, fuck that, we're gonna keep making seasons till the cows come home, and I appreciate that. But here's the thing, right? The action's pretty fun. Like, look at this shot of old Otto. Good for him. Still don't trust the son of a bitch from the last ReZero seasons to this. But I'm really starting to buy into a theory that I've seen float around this season between my Patreon comments, and I've seen this theory on Reddit once or twice. And it is, who is the god of this world? And honestly, if they commit to this theory, which I don't think they will, but it's fun to think about, it kind of changes everything you thought you knew about the old Isekai world, because could you imagine if they broke the fourth wall? Because I've been thinking to myself, who would be a good Isekai character to be the god manipulating all this for their amusement? The production committee, the creators. If they ever do decide to end this show, I really hope the final shot is pulling away from this screen and you see the panels just being drawn and it's live action, the actual creators, the actual people behind this talking and discussing, you know, the ending. I think it would be such a great fourth wall break, and it would tie it together, because how else? Like, it would be even better if it, like, imagine this. You got two options, either production committee or the staff making it, or you get all four authors of the central quartet and they're just talking about the creation. That would be such a crazy ending for a show like this. Would they go that far? Probably not, but a man can dream. And honestly, thinking about the concept of either, it'd be easier to do it as the creators, because I'm not sure how easy it would be. Like, you could probably get the Overlord and Tanya author together, because aren't they friends? I'm not sure about the other two, like if you could get them on a round table discussing this, but it would be such a creative ending for an original Isekai world, and it would really bridge the gap of what we think Isekai stories can do. It's just such a fun idea. Will they do it? Probably not. Probably the button will work someday, but we'll see. But on the topic of the button, what I thought was going to happen, like I said, was they would press it and the credits would cut, and we wouldn't know until either we got a season 4, or if we never got a season 4, it would just confirm the button works. The fact that when it goes off, it sounds similar to a doorbell, but I think the funniest option is the fact that when you press it, the school bell goes off, because, you know, like the bell to go home. And the main reason I think that's the funniest option, the pan of this shot, and then you hear the button because he presses it, and it honestly does sound very similar to that of a school bell. We were told that if you press the button, you get to go home. The concept of being given a troll button that does press a button that sounds the alarm that tells you school is over is a really fun bait that isn't technically a lie. We didn't specify go home to your own world. We said you could go home if you press the button. I think that's the funniest option. The more Aqua pressed it, the more of a doorbell it sounded, but when he initially pressed it, it did sound very similar to that of a school bell going off, and I think that's just wonderful. They had a lot of fun this season. I think the action was actually really good. It was some of the more memorable action I can recall from Isekai Quartet, but overall, seeing all the characters used, I mean, there's only Only one thing I think they didn't utilize successfully, but even then, I don't think that's an issue because they'll probably do it more in the second season with Sid. And of course, I'm talking about the Eminence and Shadow. So season 4 overall, but the second season with the Eminence and Shadow characters. So Sid as a character, like in the early stages of him joining up, there was a lot of gags with Cosmo, like kind of pointing out the fact that, hey, like I remember the scene when he was sleeping on the roof on top of something and they're all having a strategy meeting. And it's Cosmo who sees him like walk by. He's like, hey, did anyone just notice it? That type of, it's just so good. And it was such brilliant writing. They didn't really utilize it too much. Like there was more Sid in the class and they'd say, hey, new kid, get over here. I just think they could have done a bit more when it came to the whole Cosmo recognizing that shit's different. Like, is anyone gonna point out the fact that Sid's not around when Shadow is? Like, I think there's a lot of jokes you can write, but most likely, because you have so many characters to work with, there's only so much you can do. And I do think the pacing and structuring was probably the best season of the show by far. But I hope if we do see a season 4, they can do more of what they did in the early stages, especially with a character like Cosmo recognizing something's a little off when it came to Sid/Shadow. I think that would be good, but that was like my only real issue, and even then it's not an issue, it's just something I think they could have done better with. But I think it really just comes down to the fact that it's a shortened runtime. I think if all these episodes were 20 minutes, that probably would have had more time with that. But I think if you do look at it objectively, did they utilize everything as best they could? Probably. I mean, Sid was hilarious. Him moaning I am atomic over and over as they're all doing their choir practice thing was fantastic. It's just, for me personally, my taste, I would have just loved to see more of them calling out. But I do think they blended Eminence and Shadow as best they could for an intro. And I think if we see another 2 or 3 seasons with these characters here, you absolutely are going to find them really hit their stride with how to blend Eminence and Shadow even more outside of the key moments that everyone knew were going to happen, like the grand piano or I am atomic, you know? It's also hard to say if I even think they should add any more characters to Isekai Quartet. I think you could add like simple ones. I still think the concept of like Boxo from Vending Machine is a good idea just because Vending Machine that you don't really have to put too much time in. I think the concept of Seiya from Cautious Hero being around for probably like 3 minutes total of all the runtime of Isekai Quartet is really funny. So there's a lot of small characters you could probably do, but at the end of the day, I do think they have enough to work with that they could easily do another couple seasons with just these characters, not introduce anymore, and it would still be really fun. People often don't believe me when I say that this show is actually an isekai masterpiece, but frankly, I don't give a shit what those people think, because if you actually take a step back and look at how these characters are being wrote, it really does feel like they are pulled from their actual source material, despite interacting with numerous other source materials. And the fact that it all works, it'd be different if it was like 2 or 3 stories. That's easy enough to make sense. They're doing it with like 10 shows at this point. Not actually, but you get my point. Anyway, that's all for me. Let me know what you thought down below, either on the last episode. What do you think of the theory I brought up? How do you think it should wrap up? If it does have a god level thing, do you like the 4th wall break? Let me know. Drop a like, share, support, subscribe. If you're new around here, Patrons, where you can catch my full live reactions to all some more like I also like to give video shows to my patrons, because without them, you wouldn't have these videos. So today we got Retaf V, the Almighty Ultimus, Without a Net, Young Atlas, Vibel, Aegis, Ciarson, and we also have Kyle Asperis. So I appreciate the support. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.